Whenever I read, it can oftentimes feel as though I haven't learned anything from what I just read. It can feel like you read a whole chapter through, like, I don't know, like 20, 30 pages, and you're like proud of yourself, like, nice, chapter done. And then you're like, wait, I didn't learn anything. Like, you don't remember a single thing from the book. And it's because you're not paying attention as much to the book as you should be. I found that, well, especially if you're just like reading it through, like focusing on each line, like you're not gonna remember anything, honestly. And I've had that happen many times. Like even from some of the first books I read from last year, like of the books that I really wanted to read, like I barely remember things, honestly. Like now that I'm doing the two things that I'm doing now, it's much easier to remember and actually use what I've learned, because it's one thing to learn something, but it's another thing to actually use it and implement it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you what helped me. The first one is probably the bigger one. Actually, it depends, but they're both big. But this one is really important. It's this little book right here. In this book, I have notes on every book that I've read, essentially. Like once I started taking notes on the books I read, I remember things way better just because you also write them down. And then when in doubt, if I do actually like forget something, I'll just go back and check it. Like just go through the chapter. And the way that you take notes, or at least the way I take notes, is while you're reading each section, like if something really stands out to you, like close the book, like fully shut it with like the bookmark. Close the book. Get a pen out with the journal, and in your own words, this is important. In your own words, not don't just copy down like whatever section in the book, whatever it said. In your own words, explain what the concept is, what you do, like the practice, whatever. And that really helps in terms of actually learning and remembering what you read just now. And as a little thing as well, it's almost like it makes you pay more attention, because you know that at the end of the chapter or whatever, you're gonna have to write down what you learned. So you actually have to pay attention to what you're reading almost. You can't just go into a flow state where you're just turning page to page, like just like you're reading but you're not paying attention. I remember whenever I was in elementary school, I would do this a lot with fiction books. So I read Harry Potter, like Rick Riordan books, like Percy Jackson, stuff like that. And like I would read through. I liked them, of course, but like I would just read through them like in that flow. And at the end of the book, we always had to take these AR tests, where on the computer you just like take a test. And for the length of books that I was reading, I had like 20 or 10 questions, something like that. And I would always get like an 80 or like a 70, because like I would read through it, I would enjoy it, but I wouldn't actually remember or pay attention to the book. So like the little details, I just don't remember. And now that I'm taking notes, it's much easier to remember and actually pay attention and think about what I've learned. And the second one is probably more obvious, but it's actually using implementation. If a book tells you like to do something, to just like imagine something, like go ahead and do it. That's what helped me. Like some books would be like, "Oh yeah, if you meditate, you can find like states of more calm relaxation." I'm like, okay, and I just keep reading like to the next chapter. Like I wouldn't pay attention. I wouldn't actually like heed the advice that the book gives, and then I would forget it because again, I'm just flipping to the next chapter, flipping to the next page. And so like when you read something, you might try to put like a bookmark like in your own head, like, oh yeah, I'll just meditate later, try it out. Trust me, I don't remember. You probably don't remember either. And so just closing the book and just trying what the author says, like immediately helped me. Like I remember a few videos ago, maybe more than a few, but I talked about a concept where you build a room in your head, like a relaxation room. And honestly, the only reason that it helped me as much as it did, and the reason why I still remember even now, is because I just did it immediately. Like I read about it, closed the book, and I just started thinking about it. Like it really helps to just implement it immediately instead of waiting until later. But those are just my 2 cents about how I learn better, and I hope it helps you out.